This is the Dzogchen Someday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation, that I might be of service to you. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi early Wednesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Why is it a mistake to actively focus and analyze? Because doing so, to a certain extent, can so exhaust our medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortices that it triggers our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. Meditation is for peace and love, not anxiety and aggression. Therefore, let us emulate the archetype of the enthusiastic piano student who is so enthralled with his score and his keyboard that he merely holds the sound of the metronome in passive peripheral awareness. Similarly, as we passively notice air enter our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we passively notice air exit our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Why would we do that? Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which functions as the core of our sympathetic nervous system. It has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. All of them. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, from the glorious to the grotesque. But what are we to do with all these things that we notice during mindfulness? We meditate. You see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access both the tippy top as well as the very bottom of this same spinal cord. These two regions, working as a team, function as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It would seem that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. Therefore, we must ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful, cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand? Walter, thanks for joining us. Do you have any questions about the philosophies or techniques that support meditation? All right. If you do, type something in the chat window. I'm going to move forward. A useful preliminary practice to help us meditate is to gently invite our real or imagined subtle energy to coalesce at the crown of our head. The easiest way to do this is to use the tip of our left index finger to support the lower knuckle of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. This finger configuration, known as a mudra, is an excellent way to keep track of our first round, remembering that a round consists of one inhalation and one exhalation. I like to call this a bonus round. You see, in in Bengali crease counting, we count units of 13, which consist of 12 repetitions and one bonus round. Well, how do we count our 12 repetitions? We bring our attention to our right hand. Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during an inhalation, we advance our right thumb across our fingers, beginning with the first set, or the lower set of creases on our right little finger, and concluding with the higher set of creases on our right index finger. Together, let us practice right now. To keep track of our next bonus round, we turn our attention to our left hand, touch the tip of our left thumb to our left little finger's lower set of creases. To keep track of our next set of 12 inhalations, we return our attention to our right hand. In preparation, in order to keep track of our next bonus round, we advance our left thumb. And now that you get the idea of how we can count 13 sets of 13 inhalations each, with just 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, let us rest our hands palms up in our lap. And don't worry, if this seems overwhelming. Remember, repetition is the mother of skill. Simply attend these live streams on the Tube app with all the visual aids once every 12 hours. And within a week or two, this system you could master. Working with our index fingers is wonderful to emphasize meditation. It's also wonderful when you're lying in bed, waiting to fall asleep. It's also useful at the time of death. It's also useful when you find yourself on the precipice of having a meltdown. It doesn't change the triggers of the meltdown. It just enhances our resourcefulness. My nickname for this configuration is the Peace Mudra. Mudra is a fancy Sanskrit word for gesture. to count to gather an additional 13 sets of 13 rounds, we could, I should say, to keep track of additional 13 sets of 13 rounds, we could slide the tip of our left index finger up the back of our right index finger until it comes to rest upon our right index finger's middle knuckle. A fun nickname for this could be the meditation gesture or the pasadi mudra. Why do we meditate? We do not meditate to manifest a perfect world, and the main thing is just so. We meditate so that we can better cope with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. We have two systems in our central nervous system. A survival-oriented system that helps us to compete, and a thriving-oriented system that helps us to cooperate. If we live perpetually in a survival mode, we might gather many years and many possessions and many experiences, but none of those will be experienced as fulfilling. Fulfillment is only wired to our oxytocin-oriented system. Fulfillment that is cooperation-based. When we look at the people who are the most defined by competition, billionaires and trillionaires, we see people with all the toys, all the power, and they're miserable. They have no satisfaction. They are continually grasping for more. It is as if the more they have, the more they want, the more they need. Billionaires are not to be envied, they are to be pitied. Approximately 2.5 millennia before the invention of the functional magnetic resonance imaging device, the Buddha recognized this, that part of us is devoted to dealing with stress. And it's a useful tool, but a terrible boss. And from a certain point of view, the Four Noble Truths are about this. That there's stress and a mechanism to cope with stressful circumstances. But there's also liberation from the tyranny of that mechanism. Mechanism is a useful tool, but a terrible tyrant. And the fourth noble truth is that the path to the liberation from the tyranny of our survival mechanisms is the Eightfold Path. Enlightenment does not mean we stop feeling certain emotions. Enlightenment just means we've mastered the Eightfold Path. And the Buddha taught that could be done in as little as 7 days. The cool thing is you do not need to believe in a dead North Indian. You don't need to believe in nothing. You don't even need to believe in neuroscience. You can experiment with your own body. You can try these techniques, follow these instructions once every 12 hours for 7 days, and see if they increase your anxiety or decrease it, if they increase your aggression or decrease it, if they increase your peace or decrease it, if they increase your love or decrease it. You can be your own mad scientist in the laboratory of your own body and mind. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. 90%, including humans, including meditation teachers. That suckiness could look like patriarchy, could look like yang, wherein we are conditioned to be controlled by our tendencies to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. This rigidity undermines our ability to recognize figures of speech, and it induces us to take a literalist approach to the classic texts of meditation, which pretty much guarantees that instead of practicing mindfulness meditation, we will practice the type of concentration and contemplation that so exhausts the front of our brain that it triggers our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression, which is the opposite of peace and love. Let us shift gears. and invite our subtle, real or imagined, subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. The easiest way to do that is to assume what I like to call the sati mudra, or mindfulness gesture. It is as simple as using the tip of our left middle finger to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. If you've tuned in, remember that every time we inhale, every time we passively notice our chest swelling with breath, to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Doing so is the essence of mindfulness. And every time we passively notice our chest subtly sinking as gently we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Doing so is the essence of meditation. Whoops. There we go. Having sat for the better part of an hour, our body might find it refreshing to knock out 8 repetitions of an exercise I like to describe as senior citizen squat thrusts. The superstitious will do this in front of a Buddha statue, thinking this gives them safety or good fortune. But let us put childish things behind us and merely exercise because our body craves it. So if you wish to join me, I'm going to prepare the environment. I'm going to begin by swinging the laptop around. Here we go. Ooh. All right. Slide the yoga blankets and unfold the yoga mats. Known to his parents as the Yoga Matthew. And always, get your physician's advice before starting an exercise program. There, now the lawyers are happy. Squat. Crawl. Crawl into a hollow body hold. Articulate your arms. Crawl back. Deep squat. Press from your heels to your toes. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.